Call this meeting to order. Please silence your electronic devices and stand for the invocation given by Councilmember Bayakowski.
Excuse me. Lord, we come before you today seeking your wisdom and guidance as we gather for this meeting. May we be open to your leading and discern your will for us. Help us listen to one another with respect and understanding, fostering a spirit of unity and collaboration. Bless this meeting with your grace and allow us to accomplish our goals in a way that honors you and benefits all involved. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any public comments?
Don't have anyone signed up.
Communications?
The Memorial Day Parade is scheduled to be held on Monday, May 26th at 9 a.m. along East Main Street, and it will be starting at the East Town Plaza.
Any questions or concerns on that?
I'd just like to state, so hopefully the media gets it out to people, please start RSVPing. Don't wait till the last minute, because it makes it pretty difficult.
Next one?
And GoArt submitted their application for Juneteenth celebration on Saturday, June 14th from 12 to 8 p.m. in Williams Park.
Any questions or concerns on that? Okay.
That's
Are you going to swear in Officer Kissinger?
it. I am.
I, Wesley Risinger,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York
and the Constitution of the State of New York
and the City Charter of the City of Batavia, New York,
and the City Charter of the City of Batavia, New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of police detective
of police detective
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Can I have you sign this really quick, please? Before you take off? Okay, we'll get copies of that straight there. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next council meeting will be held Monday, May 12th, 2025, 7 p.m., City Hall, Council Boardroom, second floor, City Center. The residency requirement, local law, we're doing a public hearing.
Yeah.
I don't have the thing, I can do it from here. Tonight we have a public hearing regarding the residency requirement, local law number 4. All speakers should have signed up in advance with the city clerk. Each speaker will use the podium. Please state your name and address before beginning your statement. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. Please make your comments to the chair. Council will not engage in debate with the speaker. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing? Mr. Veely, seconded by Mr. Richmond. Please call the roll, please.
Councilmember Veely?
Yes.
Twitchell?
Yes.
Guy?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Richmond?
Yes.
Bayakowski?
Yes.
Jankowski?
Yes. Is there anyone signed up to speak?
There's nobody currently signed up to speak.
Would anyone like to speak? I didn't think they had to sign up. If you want to, you can come up and speak. Okay. Any council members, anything to add? Okay, a motion to close the public hearing. Mr. McGinnis. Seconded by Mr. Guy. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember McGinnis,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Richmond,
Yes.
Bykowski,
Yes.
Jankowski,
Yes.
Beely,
Yes.
Twitchell,
Yes.
Guy.
Yes.
Okay. USGS Aquifer Study Grant.
Before we do that, Council President, would you like to go over the residency requirements, just another review before we move it to the business meeting?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, Eric, I'm going to let you go for it.
Council President, members of council.
If I didn't know that, I would have just called
Yeah,
it.
thanks. If you recall at the last meeting, we put forth a memo resolution in regards to the residency requirement. It would be local law number 4 for 2025. Due to multiple reasons, mostly with the ability to hire quality people, as well as being able to extend our footprint around Western New York. The request came in from council to form a committee to look into the residency requirement. We did so, and what we've come up with is a simple change to the law that used to state that we could hire from anywhere out, not hire, but somebody had to live anywhere in a town that touches Genesee County. And we've extended that to be a county that touches Genesee County. So it's simply replacing the word town with county, and obviously you can tell how that would expand our network as it comes to hiring, and allowing our staff to live in those areas as we move forward. The only difference to that is the fire department, and due to recall reasons and the ability to respond as needed, the request was made by the fire department to maintain the existing residency requirement of an adjacent town. So that is in there as well.
So just to clarify, because I've had some pushback where people were under the impression that we were not going to hire local people. So that's not the case. Local people would obviously, merit-based, as long as they're qualified for the job, that would be a factor that I would think would help them. But if they're not local, then they don't have to displace their families if they're nearby. So that's the whole purpose of this, is to broaden our search area to give us more opportunity to find more qualified candidates for the many positions that come and go in the various departments in the city of Batavia. Some are specialized, like you said, the fire department, for example, police department, DPW, certain skills are required. So not everybody has those skills, so we need to broaden our search area. So that's what I had in mind. I think the rest of council during our conversations, that's what we were talking about when we talked about doing something about the residency requirement. I also think Councilmember Bykowski had brought up that we were doing a lot of waivers. And like, if we're doing all these waivers, maybe that's an indication that there's a problem that we should maybe address. So that, I think, sparked all this. And that's where our intent is. We're not eliminating local residents from the job search. We are just expanding our search area so that we can get a better opportunity to find an applicant that fits the needs we're looking for, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, anyone else want to add to that or anything?
I have a couple questions. Chief, how many people took the last civil service exam for the police department, do you know?
150, I believe.
How many did you narrow it down to?
Currently, we are at the end of the list already. We've exhausted that list per se. It's hard to say how many we've narrowed it down to, but we've had several people flunk out of the background process, several people not make the physical agility process. And just a side note, our civil service exam allows anyone that touches Genesee County to take that exam. So we're pulling from Erie County, Monroe County, Niagara County.
So out of the 150, what would you guess will be qualified for the next stage?
A handful, quite honestly.
And what were your previous numbers pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID, well, my first test when I took over here, there was 400 names on it. We dwindled down to, for the last test, actually, there was less than 100 people that passed it. So the numbers are dwindling.
You know, I think pre-COVID, a lot of things have changed to now, why would anyone want to be a policeman and suffer the grief? We've seen policemen have to suffer for doing their job. But I do hope we can come up with a system of some kind of inducements for people to move into the city, such as we've discussed as the future goes on. So, Thank you.
Sean, when was that test given? Was it within the
The
last
test was
year?
given in September, there's another one given in May. They are going to start offering 2 tests per year on a rolling basis.
And there was reform coming. You said you were looking for some civil service reform on that?
Yeah, some of that was the rolling list, which they're going to do. Others was the way that the PT is given, qualifications, et cetera. So there's a lot of things that the state chiefs have been asking for that civil service is still working.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Did you want anything more to that residency section?
I did not, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Now we'll move on to the USGS aquifer study.
Oh, yes, move it to a business meeting. I do want to add something for the residency.
No, go ahead.
Do we want to move it to the business meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Show of hands.
I guess I got sidetracked. So we all in consensus? Okay, that gets moved. Okay, continue on.
Okay, so the USGS aquifer study. The town of Batavia and Genesee County have requested that the city participate in financially supporting a study of the Tonawanda Glacial and Onondaga Limestone aquifers in the Batavia area of Genesee County. The project will consist of a 3-year undertaking by USGS studying the aquifer for $1 million. The town is applying for a $750,000 grant and has asked that we support financially 3 ways between the town, the county, and the city, $83,500. As you're aware, the aquifer is a major groundwater resource for the Batavia Water Plant, our municipal water supply, manufacturing operations at Awaka, agriculture, recreational opportunities, more so in the town areas, but across the county. So this would be a multi-jurisdictional project, has a priority action in the current update of the Genesee County Hazard Mitigation Plan, and we will try to seek to understand if the drought and the lower levels in the aquifer we're seeing today will be continuing. We'll also try to understand if any hazardous materials are threatening the aquifer in any way and the lifespan of those threats, as well as looking at the possibility of reducing flooding in the city of Batavia. Because as you know, ice dams up in Attica, the flats flood, which refill our aquifer, and sometimes we have flooding in the city as well. So it'll be another component of the study is to look at that hazard mitigation of reduced flooding for the city. So the water fund has $2.6 million in reserve, and while that sounds like a lot, you're gonna see a project later tonight just to build one water line of 3,700 linear feet is $4 million. But I do recommend that we pledge the funds to move forward with the study and be a partner with the town and county.
Questions?
Well, my main concern is that I was elected to look after the people of the city of Batavia. So if we go in partnership with them, are they the lead agency since they're going for the...
The town would be the sub-recipient, and they would be in control of the study and the grant.
Well, then, what I want to see is this then. If we say we're going to give you $83,000, $500, I'd like to see it in writing. This is, we're going to be, we'll contribute this, but if there's any cost overruns, if anything unusual comes up, this is what we will give. That's it. And I'd want to stress, I'd like to see it in writing.
Okay. The resolution does state that. George, do you have any recommendations to strengthen that resolution?
Well, again, as the city manager noted, this is a not to exceed amount, up to $83,500 from the city of Batavia to participate with the study. So that would be the qualifier the council, should you choose to move forward, gives to it. It's a not to exceed amount. It's not open-ended participation in the study.
I agree with Councilmember Richmond. I think we need to keep a close eye on it, although we're benefiting from it, but we're also relying on someone else for all the data. So I just want to make sure we don't miss something in that transition. There is, I assume, in the bottom of your memo here, I assume it's a Scrivener's error. It's supposed to be pledge. It says PLED. I didn't know if that was some term. On the last sentence, I recommend City Council of Batavia application and pledge funding from water reserves not to exceed.
Correct.
Okay, one of that. Other question I have is, in the benefits of the proposed study, talk about regional flood protection and future flood control such as restoration of floodplain at, and in quotes, the flats. What exactly does that mean? Where is the flats?
So the flats are the area around Cedar Street where the aquifer sits, and I'm sorry, I should have brought a map with me. But if you think about where a whack of milk is, and those are the wells we actually draw from for the water plant, that is the flats. That is the area that floods in that area and extends and recharges the aquifer. And again, Tom, you can speak a little more to what we're seeing with aquifer levels and how it, oh, there is a map in there.
Yes.
It
Well,
doesn't- it's not big
so
enough.
I can put it in context. The reason I asked, if you live on the south side, there is slang name for the word the flats, and it's a swampy area just outside the city that does normally flood in the spring in various times. So my concern, there's people that live down there, so my concern, it wasn't that flats you were talking about. You were talking about on Cedar Street, which is miles away from where
Correct.
the slang
Yep.
term of people that live in the area call it.
And just outside of Wacka is where our city wells are
Right.
that we draw water from. And Tom, do you have anything to add?
No, minus that the wells or the aquifer is going down daily.
Right. I know we're in a drought kind of thing.
Yeah, every chart's a little bit, but a foot compared to feet usually in the springtime. So
And I see Bailey nodding her head, so it's a concern, is what you're saying. It's
Right.
definitely something we need to find out what's going on, and this study would help us learn more about what's actually happening underground and in the area as far as the water flowing and where the floods are going and things like that.
correct.
Runoff, I should
And
say.
if we do, at some point, when the county moves forward with phase 3, if we do decide to stop producing water in the city because it's being brought in from another source, the city will continue to own those wells and have rights to them. So we're going to want that information if we were to want to sell water rights into a manufacturer or something like that. So I think that's very beneficial to the study as well.
So we know what our storage is, that we know what we can allow out. Bob, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I think it spells it out here that we won't exceed 83,500. As long as that's written in there, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But this no way binds us in the future to providing more water to anyone outside the city.
Absolutely not.
And it doesn't bind us into providing sewage facilities for, okay, because that's one of my bigger concerns. So I think our service, we have a good sewage operation, but I don't know if it can take much more.
I would say the other very beneficial part of this detailed study would be there has been, we'll call them threats to the aquifer from other manufacturers trying to draw from the water supply on a raw water basis for cooling water. And the city and the town and the county all came together with a letter of opposition, and the application for drawing more water from the DEC was denied. So I do feel like we've partnered on this issue before. We're all looking at source water protection, and I would recommend we move forward with this. And I understand the not to exceed, and I will make that
Right.
exceptionally clear to the partners.
And you know, besides the obvious, and the obvious is we haven't had the cold winters, we haven't had the snow piling up. And when you have a body of water that's just frozen over, the water's not going to evaporate. Ice doesn't evaporate. But when there's no ice, we're going to lose some evaporation. So I'm looking forward, in a way, to see what that study's going to say. And how they're interconnected. Is the sand wash interconnected?
Right, and as well as Godfrey's Pond and other recreational areas
Yeah.
that depend on that aquifer, and many of our residents do
Yeah.
use those recreational opportunities just outside the city too.
Right. It's important for agriculture, especially in a lot of things. So it's important we know what we're dealing with underground, I think. So,
That's not only our drinking water source, that's our source for fire protection as well.
right.
Yep, very true.
Anyone else? Okay, so what do you need for us to do? You want us to pass that on to a future business meeting for a vote? Okay,
Please.
so are we in consensus to do that then?
Yes.
Okay, that gets moved. Bid open container?
Yes, thank you, Council President, members of council. You have in front of you local law number 5 that would have council contemplate setting the public hearing for a local law that would allow alcohol in the bid district in an open container. The provisions would entail allowing open containers in the district from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Properties west of Court Street have been excluded from the local law, and no glass containers would be allowed. You heard a great presentation from the bid at our last meeting, and there was some discussion, and this is the resolution to set the public hearing.
So at this point, we're just setting the date, which I believe is May 27th, and that would be a council meeting, I would think, on that day. Anyone have any concerns about setting a public hearing? Or any questions or concerns?
And I'll note that's a Tuesday after Memorial Day.
Right.
Just
I
so
know it's a
everyone-
council meeting day.
Yep.
I just didn't remember if it was a Monday or Tuesday. I thought it was a Monday. So are we consensus to move that to
Yes.
the 27th for a public hearing?
Yep.
Okay, that gets moved. Orleans Avenue Purchase and Sale Agreement?
Yes, thank you, Council President. The city was approached by Mr. Curtis, who owns land next to Orleans Avenue, to build several housing units. Orleans Avenue is a paper street that has been mapped as a street but never constructed. The resolution before you would allow the city to abandon and discontinue the public use of the paper street and sell 20,750 square feet or 0.45 acres to Mr. Curtis, who has offered the city the appraised value of $15,500 for the parcel of land.
Questions or concerns on that?
Yes, I support this purchase. I was just wondering for clarification, was anyone else interested in purchasing this property?
No, we have not been contacted by anyone else in regards to this property.
Okay, thank you.
Have we advertised so other contractors know about it?
We did not advertise. We went through, I'm sorry.
It's basically landlocked. They have to benefit the adjoining properties. It's landlocked.
Yeah, I know.
It's only going to service the adjoining properties.
And no other adjoining property owners have contacted us.
And how many lots will this be?
Currently, he owns, I believe, 5 adjacent lots, 23, 25, 27, 29, 31 Orleans, which basically stack up from Pearl Street going up to what is now Orleans Avenue on the east side of that. So he'll use those 5 lots plus the extension of Orleans to put in between 5 and 7
Duplexes, right?
duplexes.
Yep.
Yes.
So how many lots will this be? 5?
He'll have to consolidate it into one. I'll say that. Correct, George?
Yes.
It'll be what?
He'll have to consolidate those lots into one lot.
Okay, how many buildings will he be able to put on?
Between 5 and 7 duplexes, it all depends on, he doesn't have a final schematic of how it's all gonna fit in there yet, but he's provided us with 3 or 4 different options. And they have, that one's got 7 units on it, the one that's in your packet, so anywhere between 5 and 7 units, between 3 and 4 buildings.
And then they'll pay property tax. EDC won't be involved.
Nope.
Thank you.
Was the first letter
Yes.
in the first packet we were emailed, was that an error?
Yes.
Because it does say you were offered
No,
$79,000 by
I used
someone
an
else.
old resolution and memo and forgot to delete that part. Thankfully, Alicia also caught it and brought it to our attention so we could change it for you folks tonight.
And
So
we did get, is this the schematic right here that we did get?
That's correct.
That is one of the options. He doesn't
That's
have a
one of the
final yet.
options.
Yes.
And he has built duplexes in the city that have been of very nice quality.
Yeah, on Roosevelt, I believe,
I thought one on Oak as well.
and one on Oak, yep.
Tammy?
There's one on Liberty, and then there's a couple of them on River.
Is he the one on Oak or no?
Yeah.
That's not him? Okay.
But he's the only game in town, right? He's the only one that we have.
For this, yes.
Anyone else? So are we in consensus to move that to,
Yep.
not tonight's business meeting, but a future business meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
So that gets moved. Linear license agreement with Genesee Mohawk Valley Railroad Incorporated.
Yes, thank you,
This
Council
is the-
President. This is the third and final time you'll ever see this memo and resolution. Maybe. So Genesee and Mohawk Valley Railroad, a New York company, has identified that the city of Batavia needs a license agreement in order to begin and complete construction of the water main along Walnut Street between Treadeasy and Walnut Street. They have requested that we enter into the license agreement for the underground water pipe. It'll become effective as of the day of signature and terminate upon no less than 30 days notice served by either property owner. It'll allow the city to replace deteriorating infrastructure by installing 6,500 linear feet of new water main as well as 8 fire hydrants. What's changing is the
physical location on the map of where the water lines are going to be allowed to go is going to have to be adjusted. After council approved the last resolution and sets of agreements, the April meeting, the railroad came back and identified they have a need for the area directly adjacent to the line where the water line was to be placed. So we've had to readjust the location of the water line. So what's going to change is basically just the station identification in the 2 rail agreements. The overall agreements will remain the same. The railroad and the engineers are working on the specific location and map, but we need to get the approval so we can basically adjust it outside the footprint of where the railroad wants to put their line and still get the water line in.
So it's more of a longitudinal
shift. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
we've had
it's an actual grid, you know, you're moving it in a specific location to another. So nothing else in the agreement is going to change that.
No, everything stays the same. I was looking for the words linear milepost and valuation station is what will change in section 2 of your agreement, which has been highlighted for you to see. So we'd asked to move this to special business tonight, and we didn't realize until we were on site that the rail crew wanted to put a siding in that area, and so we've been working with them to make sure that our agreement is appropriate and that our project and their project can coexist.
Okay.
And there'll be 2 agreements as well. There'll be a crossing agreement and a linear agreement.
Yeah, the linear and the crossing is good. So there, you're covering that explanation here now.
Correct.
So does anyone have any questions on those 2 items on the agenda? Okay, so we're in consensus to move those to tonight's special business meeting. Okay, those gets moved. Community Development Block Grant
Yes,
for Pearl Street Water Project.
Thank you, Council President. On or about May 1st, the governor normally announces CFA applications. And in most years, there is CDBG funds available. The city has been extremely successful in obtaining those funds for water and sewer projects. The latest water project we did was on Jackson Street. And we'd like to apply for the Pearl Street Water Project in this 2025 round of CBDG. The project will replace 3,700 linear feet of 6-inch lines with a new 8-inch water main. It has an estimated cost of $4 million. We're still getting the engineering report solidified, so our hope is that will go down. But with COVID bidding, things have had this 30% escalation for the last few years. And we could be awarded a grant of up to $1 million. So you have 3 resolutions in front of you. Oh, and before I say that, we believe the pipe is circa 1950, and in just since 1991, there's been at least 13 breaks on the line. So it's definitely something that's problematic that our crews are continuing to fix and have identified as the next line to fix. How many this winter, Tom? 3? Plus 3 this winter?
Yeah.
It'll meet all standards for fire protection. It'll tie in all existing customers, and we will be having new fire hydrants with it, so it'll be better for fire protection. So there's the resolution to apply, the resolution to set a public hearing for the project, which won't occur until July 14th, and a resolution to declare lead agency.
So that'll all be done in the next several council meetings leading up
Correct.
to whether we get the grant or not.
Yep, this is just the introductory stage, so we can move these resolutions forward as needed.
Any questions or concerns on that? So we in consensus to technically start this project by moving it to a future business meeting as it gets moved. Any questions or concerns?
No.
Motion to adjourn. Mr. Beely, seconded by Mr. Guy. Call roll, please.
Councilmember Veely.
Yes.
Twitchell.
Yes.
Guide.
Yes.
McGinnis. Briggs.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Bayakowski.
Yes.
Jankowski.
Yes. Okay, I now call to order the special business meeting. The agenda items will be assigned now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So item 60, 2025, the memorandum of understanding with the Batavia Police for the STRIDE program. That's the domestic violence program with the city and the YWCA. Ms. Schmidt. 61, 2025, the lead agency seeker for the City Center Concourse Revitalization Project. Who would like that one? Nobody wants to,
I'll do it.
it's something we talked about a while back. It's not anything that's been fresh on our minds, okay? So that's why I kind of expected a little bit of a hiccup there. 62, 2025, the railroad agreement, what we just talked about, Mr. Richmond. That's the linear one, and then the crossing one, 63, 2025, Ms. Briggs. Okay. Ms. Schmidt, start us off, please.
Thank you, Council President. I move a resolution authorizing the City of Batavia to execute a memorandum of understanding with the City of Batavia Police Department, Genesee County District Attorney's Office, to the Genesee County Probation Department, the Genesee County Sheriff's Office, and the YWCA of Genesee County for participation in the STRIDE initiative.
Seconded by Mr. McGinnis. Any questions or concerns? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Bayakowski.
Yes.
Jankowski.
Yes.
Veely.
Yes.
Twitchell.
Yes.
Guide.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Resolution 61, 2025, Mr. Veely, please.
Thank you, Council President. I move a resolution establishing the City of Batavia as lead agency under the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker and issuing a negative declaration for the City Center Concourse Revitalization Project.
Seconded by Mr. Bayakowski. Questions or concerns? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Veely.
Yes.
Yes.
Twitchell. Guide.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Bayakowski.
Yes.
Jankowski.
Yes. 62, 2025, Mr. Richmond, please.
Thank you, Council President. I move a resolution to approve a linear license agreement with Genesee and Mohawk Valley Railroad Corporation, Inc.
Seconded by Mr. Veely. Questions or concerns? Hopefully this is the last agreement we have to go through. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Richmond.
Yes.
Bayakowski.
Yes.
Jankowski.
Yes.
Veely.
Yes.
Twitchell.
Yes.
Guide.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Resolution 63, 2025, Ms. Briggs, please.
Thank you, Council President. I move a resolution to approve a crossing license agreement with Genesee and Mohawk Valley Railroad Company Incorporated.
Seconded by Mr. Bayakowski. Any questions or concerns on this one?
Yeah, I have a question. Are these two separate corporations? Is one the Genesee and Mohawk Valley? Is that one corporation? Where is it?
It's got an office in Batavia next to the transloading facility, but it's in Western New York.
They're local.
Yeah.
Railroad, yeah.
They're
Right up.
part of or partners or part of corporate structure with GVT Rail. The original resolutions you saw was GVT Rail. Then we changed the name to the proper name, and now we're changing the linear location. And hopefully that's the last change.
Anyone else? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Briggs.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Bayakowski.
Yes.
Jankowski.
Yes.
Veely,
Yes.
Twitchell,
Yes.
Guide,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Okay, Mr. Veely?
This is the right one.
Yes.
Thank you, Council President. Whereas Article 7, Section 105(1)D of the Public Officers Law permits the legislative body of the municipality to enter into executive session to discuss proposed pending or current litigation. Whereas Article 7, Section 105(1)H of the Public Officers Law permits the legislative body of the municipality to enter into executive session to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property or proposed acquisition of securities or sale or exchange of securities held by such public body, but only when publicity would substantially affect value. Therefore, whereas Article 7, Section 105(1)F of the Public Officers Law permits the legislative body of the municipality to enter into executive session to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Batavia that upon approval of this motion, the City Council does hereby enter into executive session.
Seconded by Ms. Schmidt. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Veely,
Yes.
Twitchell,
Yes.
Guide,
Yes.
McGinnis, Briggs, Schmidt,
Yes.
Richmond,
Yes.
Bayakowski,
Yes.
Jankowski.
Yes.